I hope you're still all with us and you're still very much inspired. I think there was a fantastic summary of yesterday's day, and I'm keeping in mind that we have time, money, collaboration, and I think there was a fourth one that I can't remember, that I wrote it down, but I can't remember it. But I think this is what we will be discussing today in these next 3 sessions, which are all about action. So we have identified the obstacles, we have identified how we can measure, we can identify what we need to do, but let's put it in place, because I think, as Magda said, and Montse and the previous panel, we have to make them into actions that will drive innovation, that will shape the life sciences that we want for all of us, for you. So I would like to introduce Thomas, my co-moderator for the next 3 rounds of discussion. Welcome, Thomas.
Welcome, welcome. Oh,
Good.
My mic is already on. Thank you. Thank you, Stami. So during the last day, I've heard so much talk about the obstacles and talk about let's say, things that we should change. And now, for a bit of a change of attitude, let's concentrate on the vision, on the point in the future that we would like to achieve. So the vision of the perfect European healthcare and life science system. And we should, in the next stages, we should also gather all your inputs, but I would like you to think about such elements of this bright, super future for European life science. And just for the warm-up, I have like 3 examples what we can envision. So for me, it would be like most drugs registered and introduced into market are coming from Europe. This is one example. The second one would be like that the biggest deals, like the blockbuster deals, are done in Europe by European companies. Probably right now it's not the case. But this is my vision of the perfect future for the life science in Europe. And we also have like major clusters in the world. Right now, probably the major cluster is Boston, but I imagine that we can have such at least one cluster in Europe. And I would like you to think about the other parts of this vision. We will come back to it a bit later.
Exactly. And we want these sessions to be interactive, so we will be asking you questions through the QR code that you'll be screening or you have already on your phones. But we want this to be interactive, as I said, so please ask questions, and we will be asking questions to you. So this is a 2-way dialogue, because this is the only way forward. So we are here to discuss strategies for effective collaboration and how we can actually put it on action. Our objective from Casimir is to actually inspire all of you and have concrete solutions or actions by the end. So starting up with the first round, which is focusing on scaling innovation. I know that we've talked a lot about yesterday on how to actually scale innovation, the scale up and startup strategies coming out from the European Commission probably next week. We all have companies, SMEs. We saw that the medtech innovators are the ones that we think that can deliver the most in the next 5 years. So let's discuss about how we can actually help them scale up. So we have with us Monica Frenzel from the French National Research Agency. Hi, Monica, you're there. Monica represents ANI.
Big applause for the Monica.
Great. So Monica represents ANR in the European Partnership for Personalised Medicine, EP-PERMED, and the International Consortium for Personalised Medicine. And she's coordinating the actions on personalised medicine and funding and support. So I'm highlighting that because we will be talking on that. Angelo Pezzulo from the Università Catholic del Sacro Cuore. My Italian is really shocking. I've done 2 years.
Welcome, Angelo.
So, again, Angelo is coordinating a team on personalized prevention roadmaps for the future healthcare. So roadmaps, big word. And last but not least, Magdalena. So Madalena has the important role to coordinating national contact points across 12 academic research institutions in Poland. So really different perspectives, a panel of great minds, and what we have to do is we have to identify the research innovation areas with the highest potential to impact European healthcare. So we've been talking about scaling up. However, scaling up referred to both entrepreneurship, because we want the mindset of entrepreneurs to change in order to think about the bigger picture. But we're talking about, and of course, creating the new unicorn, if we can, in Europe, in biotech, or healthcare, I should say, or health innovation. But we're talking about scaling up. Scaling up has the potential of scaling up healthcare systems in order to be able to actually adopt and deploy these innovations into for our patients. So there's two aspects of scaling up. But to start, I think we will start with Monica, because as we know, Europe is lagging in both, in scaling up innovation, scaling up healthcare systems, as we saw. So what do you think it's the most important factors to consider when we need to scale up both SMEs or startups and healthcare systems, especially when we're talking with specifically to personalized medicine?
Before Monica, you start, I would like us to fire up the Mentimentor so that we could also provide the input during the session.
Good. Yes, you're right, Thomas.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to the discussions. Well, I think, especially when looking at personalized medicine, there are different aspects that we have to consider. It's technology development, so it's a question on devices, drug development, understanding of diseases. So I think there is an aspect that is all around where we find diagnostics, a lot of SMEs or new companies coming up, especially for biomarkers helping us to make healthcare more personalized, more efficient, more targeted. And then I think there's all about methodology that is changing. Also, when we think about prevention, I think, in personalized medicine, but also about treatment strategies, also diagnostics. So it is changing something for a clinical setting, for how healthcare is provided, how the role even of the patient, the general practitioner. So there's a lot of changes that needs to be considered. So it is indeed a system that needs to be connected from the very start. So I think this is what we try to do in the European Partnership for Personalized Medicine, to connect through the partnership, the research, the development phase with the innovation phase, and the implementation phase. I think this is really important to do this from the very beginning, meaning when we are having research projects funded, that we ask them to be from the very start multidisciplinary, to work cross-border, because Europe is very small. So we talk about market, question of having, well, also enough data sets. There was a lot spoken about the data, European data space. So I think we have to start at the research already to support researchers to make research that matters, that to consider also the question of implementation research from the very start. So this is what we try from the very beginning to focus and to push. And I think innovation starts there already. And then, of course, to help the researchers to get the reflection about innovation. We discussed it in the last conference from EP Permit, not every researcher needs to be a superhero, so to do everything. But if you create multidisciplinary groups with experts from the different fields, that can make implementation research, for example. We can have the researchers being a researcher. We can support them to be entrepreneurs if they wish to, or to have maybe a university environment that supports this aspect to help scaling up. And then if we are having the innovation part, to help them to understand how it's working. So for example, the EP Permit, we have a fast track or a venture creation, trying to help them to get education and training to understand how I get an entrepreneur, but also maybe to make first validation steps. This is where we can support them. And then maybe to prepare through communication and education and however we can, the implementation pathway. So to increase the knowledge about new solutions, why it is important, and I think I should stop here, right? If not, I'm talking too long.
I think it's great input. Could you provide us, if you have such examples of initiatives that succeeded?
I think on different levels we try to communicate with the research communities, but also to discuss with healthcare systems. What I like also in EP Permit is we discuss with regions. Of course, we have the policymakers there, also the funders, the ministries. So we see different levels. From the research perspective, we had some very nice examples. For example, I think it was a Swedish company that started a diagnostic tool, and they started with a really harmonized data set from their region. And they are installed now, and they are able to integrate new data sets to see if their device is being able to be implemented more widely. Because the problem with personalized medicine, or in general, with medicine that is more targeted, it depends on what data set you, of course, integrate. And we don't speak yet about women, men, children, elderly, but generally also genomics background is really important. And I think that helped them to support them. By the way, also, I think they were researchers, and in their clinic or in their research setting, they have, when they start to have an entrepreneuria, they have a share of the patent. So make them participating actively, and it's a part of their work, and it remains a part of them. So I think that was really motivating for them. When it comes more for the healthcare system, for example, a technology might be too complex, or think if you're thinking about, you develop a new marker. Think about how this marker could be integrated in a clinical setting. Maybe you need a very sophisticated technology to identify the marker, but then try to pass to a technology that is implementable for detection in a clinical setting. So for example, a laser. So maybe you need a high sophisticated microscope to find a marker, but then translate it into a technique that can be easily implemented in a clinical setting. Try to develop centralized clinics that can have a technology installed, maybe have also specific boards to take decisions, and then connect different centers of the region to this clinical center. So data sampling is at the place where the patient is, treatment is where the patient is, but samples are provided to one specific center. And I think here policy is very important in the ministry, because then making these parts growing bigger, integrating not only a region or a hospital, but a region and then a country. Here we need then the policy, the ministries to support this financially, but also education and training and bringing them together. So I think these are two examples, and I have some more, but I think this is one for the more diagnostic part and SME part, and one for healthcare systems.
Okay, so I understand that you propose starting with one leading project and then scale it up to the national level, and probably even later European one. Thank you very much. So I think that we can move to our next panelist, Angelo. Integrating multi-omics data is absolutely hard task, and it can be challenging, but it also can give us ways to integrate it into prevention. So how challenging is that, and how can we cope with it?
Well, it is very challenging indeed, and I think that in PROFET, which is a coordinating and support action for the International Consortium of Personalized Medicine, which is tasked to develop a strategic and research agenda for the implementation of personalized prevention in Europe, we are very much concerned with these challenges. And but I think we need to make a couple of premises or caveats before diving deep into this topic, because both prevention and personalization are two concepts that have their elusiveness, okay? And so prevention, prevention is traditionally seen in medicine and public health as in levels, like primary, secondary, tertiary prevention. And these are distinguished based on their target. Their target and primary, it is to healthy individuals. Secondary prevention is to people that are asymptomatic, and with the premise that if you diagnose somebody early and treat it early, then you will that person will be better than if it is treated later. That it is not always the case, as we know. And then tertiary prevention that has the target of diseased individuals. There is one problem that all medical intervention can be seen, can be categorized and in these three levels. And so there are blurred boundaries between prevention and medicine, and prevention can be seen more as a way of categorizing medical and public health intervention than a discipline itself. But most people see prevention about primary and secondary prevention, so let's focus on that, and also personalization that can be seen also as a differentiating the treatment based on risk factors, but this is also what all physicians do in their practice, all good physicians do in their practice. So the first challenge that we really had in Prophet was to defining personalized prevention, okay? And we base our definition on the European Parliament definition of 2015 that was endorsed also by the International Consortium for Personalized Medicine, and that we defined in the first consortium meeting, personalized prevention aims to prevent onset, progression, and recurrence of diseases through the adoption of targeted interventions that consider the biological information, environmental and behavioral characteristics, socioeconomic and cultural context of individuals. So coming to your question and of the integration of omics and behavioral and environmental data to have prevention, it is challenging. For example, I've seen this Nature Medicine paper of 2025 by Argentieri and colleagues, a group from Oxford that has estimated that the contribution of the exposome, which is the sum of all the exposure that we have in our life, and the genome, okay? And of course, they have seen that the contribution to all-cause mortality and aging is bigger for the exposome than the genome, okay? But in general, there is a race today for the integration of omics, environmental, behavioral data, but the fruits have been few at the moment. But why? And many have cited the ideas why this has been lack of infrastructure, lack of common regulation, lack of political will. I mean, these are things that we have listened to all time during this conference, and these are all true. I mean, in our strategic document, we cite them all. We actually gathered some of the best experts in Europe to elaborate on these challenges. And it's true that the interoperability of data, especially when you are gathering data that are different, such omics, multi-omics like proteomics, genomics, and so on. But there are some initiatives that are good in this sense, like HL7 FIRE, OMOP, and in general the European Health Data Space. And also when we say regulation, EU regulation, even when it's there is differences in the interpretation. No? The GDPR, for example, is a common regulation, but very much interpreted differently in different countries. I come from a country, Italy, where the GDPR is interpreted in a very strict way, although they are improving all these things. However, if I have to say one thing, why this is difficult, and even if we have the infrastructure, the common regulation, the political will, I think that there is not convincing evidence yet. So we need more for this kind of integration for prevention. We need more research. We need carefully designed prospective studies with causality in mind, not only prediction, because prediction without an idea of changing the course of action is useless, mostly useless. And these studies have to be vetted through the highest evaluation standards. So at the moment, the best options that we have for prevention are still the ones that are designed by public health many years ago. The WHO best buys in 2015 that have been recently reviewed by a group of European researchers in the Lancet Regional Health Europe. They have it reviewed, classified in quick buys. So the best options to deliver deliver results within 5 years political mandates. So if you ask me what action we need to do now, we need to focus on what we know it works and do more research.
One very simple question. Let's believe that your project will succeed, or we will introduce such a tool combining omics data and personalized prevention. What will change in Europe? In a very short words, like 2 sentences.
I mean, prevention. We know that most of the chronic disease burden is preventable. Okay, we know that 70%, up to 70% in the estimation of the chronic disease burden is preventable, and so we can deliver on a high scale of productivity and health and happiness in a way, no? Because I think health is a major determinant of happiness. We can deliver to that, but till now we have also to be realistic and saying that what healthcare services are doing right now for prevention is little. I mean, it's just vaccination, surveillance, screening. The first two are more interested with the communicable diseases, with some exceptions, and the other two is highly questioned in the scientific debates. Its value, at least beyond the traditional cancer screening, and so we have to be realistic. The potential is very high, but the stratified healthcare services as they are now, they won't deliver much. Okay.
Thank you, Angelo.
So just to recap, we need multidisciplinary teams from early on. This is my understanding. We need good data. We have the opportunity to collect complex data and implement it in complex and very different healthcare settings, which when we're talking about roadmaps for something specifically like personalized medicine is complex. But in order to do that, because that is the need, we have to take one step back and go back to the research industry, or the research where it sort of all starts. And I know that after the Draghi report, we in Europe, we're lacking transferable research. We know that we're lagging behind. We're lagging behind the US and China. We have to create more spin-offs. We have to support the startups to continue. And a major role in that is the excellence technology transfer from industry, from academia to industry. And this is where the national contact points are actually coming into play. Magdalena, you have a lot of information and a lot of good examples and a lot of knowledge on this, since you're coordinating the whole network in Poland. How can we do it better? Because there is a need that we have to do it better now. How can we do it better? How can the stakeholders support this, especially clusters, because I'm coming from the clusters view, and how can we achieve it?
Okay, thank you for this question. So first, the diagnosis from my side. Certainly, Europe has no problem with scientific excellence. I mean, Europe as a whole, because of course there are some slightly weaker players in Europe, but we have in place the widening portfolio with a very rich range of instruments, and it's actually working really well. So I think we can all agree that our researchers and our universities are really world class. And of course, the real challenge is to turn all this excellent research into solutions that can reach the end user, the patients, the citizens. And of course, on this road, we have to omit the valley of death, the famous valley of death, the gap between research and implementation. And in my opinion, the first reason of these difficulties that we have now with bridging this gap is fragmentation. It's fragmentation of tools on the very central European level, because first we have Horizon Europe for research and innovation building, with the Klaster 1, of course, health. But Horizon Europe itself is already a very complex system of instruments and a very difficult one especially for newcomers. Then we have EU for healthcare systems, as you all perfectly know. And there is, for example, Digital Europe for digital tools and infrastructure, a completely different program, to quote only three of them. And of course, also NCP network is not the only network in every country which is supposed to deal with all this, but I will elaborate on that a bit later. Then all these programs quite often operate in silos. There are no clear paths between them. And of course, as NCPs, we are supposed to deliver information about all of them. Even if we are focused on Horizon Europe, we are supposed to to say our customers to go to another NCPs who deal, for example, with Digital Europe, but still it doesn't work as a coherent system. Then a second reason. It was already said before, but that's the subject of the conference. Health projects have their own difficulties. They are somehow not typical, not very representative for grants under Horizon Europe, for example, because they are rather slow. They are heavily regulated. And often don't offer very fast returns. So this may scare off private investors. I think that we can observe it quite often. So we need stronger public support and smarter risk-sharing instruments. And of course, another issue is weak tech transfer. And this, especially in widening countries, I would say. Many research teams still tend to focus on publications, not practical application. And tech transfer offices need to be better funded and be more proactive, in my opinion. So now what has to be changed? We should, first of all, it's a very basic thing, promote interdisciplinary teams. But from my experience, at least in Poland, it is not really done in a sufficient way. We, as NCPs, often repeat to our customers that they should take on board colleagues from different types of organizations. Those from academia should take on board those from enterprises and from the third sector. In the health sector, there are of course some specific groups of organizations that should be taken in consideration. So this is very important, and it pays off on many levels. Then, of course, there should be created an innovation ecosystem in health. A system that would support the whole life cycle of an idea, right? From basic science through validation and testing to adoption in healthcare practice. We should also align EU funding with national priorities, and it is a big challenge from the Polish perspective, I must admit. I think every Polish agency which deals with the national funding, there is still a lot to do. And of course, when we analyze the Horizon data, we can see that in the countries which have done so, the results are very obviously better. The results measured, of course, in terms of the funding gained from Horizon Europe. Then we should support very much initiatives like public-private initiatives like European partnerships under Horizon Europe, and not only under Horizon Europe, but of course I am advocate of Horizon Europe, so I will obviously focus on that. And let's stop thinking on isolated programs. It is, as I have just said, we have a duty. It's not a recommendation of the European Commission; it's a duty. We have to embrace somehow all the programs in a done area on the central level, and we have to advise our customers on that, how it works, explain how they interact between them, what's the logic behind it, behind the system. But still, you know, it's a reaction. It's not. It's a reaction to a system which is not coherent, because still it is very discouraging from the perspective of a potential applicant. And of course, unfortunately, it is not compulsory to come and consult NCPs. It is only an opportunity. One may benefit from that or not, and also our advice is not, there's no duty to use our advice. So it's not a good, coherent, and user-friendly system. So I think that would be my answer to that question.
Okay, so very comprehensive description. I'm taking from this that obviously we need to actually support I have to comment that the person who scribes is doing a wonderful job. So that's fantastic to see. So well done, summarizing what we have discussed so far. We have to find a way, and we need to find a way, I should say, to actually teach the ecosystem across the board to take more risks. We have to re-educate ourselves in order to understand that failing is part of the process. And I think perhaps this is why it's making us lagging behind. And this is a comment to all of you, because I would like to hear your views later on as well. How do we do it? How do we teach? As clusters, we try to educate with concrete actions and capacity building activities, our startups, that you have to, in order to succeed, you have to fail, and that's okay, in order to progress. However, in Europe, you have to find money to be able to do the exercise and take the risk. How do we re-educate everyone, and some of the actions that probably in your ecosystems have worked so far as we're doing sharing? So I will start from Monica and go down.
It's a very important question. And again, I would say we have to start at the beginning, starting with the research also to share what was not working. So because I think we are pushed from the very beginning to, we are judged as a researcher. I was a researcher before working at the French National Research Agency. We are judged on publications, and publications are results that you can sell, results that are leading to new diagnostics. But I think what is making everything, the whole system, more efficient is sharing also what is not working, and difficulties. And this is from research towards innovation. So what are the best processes for starting an SME startup, good mechanisms, to understand how the market is working, how you make an analysis, but also until the implementation question, what is working, what is not working, what are maybe hurdles. We will, for sure, and I think this is not what Europe has to try to harmonize healthcare systems, but to understand the differences and to see how we can learn, nevertheless, from one example to the other. So I would really say we start from the beginning and we allow error in, it's not even an error, it's simply things do not work or depend really on the system. But if we are not providing an environment where we are allowed to share what is not working, then we will slow down the process from the very beginning until the end. So I think really sharing, giving everyone a trustful environment where people share also what is not working, this will move the entire system faster from research over innovation towards implementation.
Yeah, I echo what Monica was saying. I mean, this is very important for researchers, and I mean, risk aversion is an epidemic all around the society. It's not only in research, in my opinion. It's not so easy to answer to your question, and but I think that's something that we can concretely do in a very short time frame is to make the data more fair, more open. Because I mean, if you even fail in your research project, you still have gathered this data that can be reanalyzed, can be left it to other people that might gain better insights. You can meta-analyze research from multiple projects and arrive to a conclusion that is very different from the first one. And so I think that this is one of the things that are most important, and also how we incentivize research, as Monica was saying. I mean, we are incentivized, at least I talk about, I'm a researcher, from the number of publication in prestigious venues and citation that we gather. But I think that there are many dimensions for research impact, and we should be aware of them, incentivize them, and also, as I said, for me, openness and reproducibility of your research is the most important way of you know, is a guarantee to all the other people that are reading them that you have done it all in a transparent way and rigorous way.
Well, I'm smiling a bit because I was going also to start with the publications issue, but I will omit that. Well, Horizon Europe is all about risks. It's all about taking risks because it is very much built in the program. You know, the success rates in Horizon are famous to be very low. We know that the average success rate in Horizon Europe is is about 20%. It's not much. It means that a big majority of applications fail. And that's the fact. I mean, it varies from one element of Horizon to another, but still this level is very low. So, this risk-taking starts, on the base in this case. And the first challenge is for research institutions and enterprises, of course, is to understand that it is, a worth taking exercise. It's a slogan, but of course, best things, are created in difficult circumstances very often. So this risk is already there from the very beginning, and I think the acceptance of this fact must simply be there. I hope it will be now maybe more analyzed, more present in a public debate, because the interim evaluation results of Horizon Europe has just been published in late April. Of course, as always in such cases, some measures are immediately put in place in order to boost some things and to mitigate some others. And exactly there is a lot of talking about the success rate. How to deal with that issue, and I hope that this focus on success rates will now change a bit the mindset in the research world.
I think you summarized some important messages there, but I think in order to focus and support scaling up, we need to take into consideration the elements that you said. So it's not just about getting the funding, but it's about implementing or thinking really early on all the requirements that we need in order to implement it and deploy it into healthcare system. And then that way we can have incentives from VCs, from the Commission, from the member states, in order to scale up these productions, have new production lines in Europe, attract more talent, and therefore scaling up innovation as a whole. We have a question for all of you, so I hope you're all with us. If you have already scanned the QR code, if we can see the first question, if possible. It's coming. We want to see where you think that which biosciences subsector has the greatest potential for scale up in the next 5 years. I think that's the first question. Excellent. So which biosciences subsector has the greatest potential for scale up in the next 5 years in your region? And please let us know which region you are from, so we can actually see who we have with us.
This is the question both for the audience and also for our panelists.
That's right.
So let's maybe give a little bit time to the audience to use the Mentimeter and to answer the question. And maybe, Angelo, what are 2 or 3 areas, research and innovation areas that could change the future of Europe?
I mean, I
In life
can
science,
talk,
of course.
I mean, I can talk about personalized prevention. That it's the, let's say, the work that we have been doing, because I mean, we have this consortium that is very big and has 18 partners in 12 European countries, plus the UK, with very different expertise. Have screened the landscape, okay, of course, biobanks, exposome networks, digital health projects, and this was called the mapping phase, was the starting phase. And we have gathered information about many approaches that are promising. I think, for example, breast cancer screening, which is now can be tailored by the polygenic risk. So the polygenic risk score is the summation of all your variation in your gene. So small variation in your gene can predispose you, make you more susceptible to one disease or another. These are small variations, but the sum of them can really change your risk in specific diseases. Breast cancer is one of the examples, and moreover, you can add to this the risk factors, the environmental risk factors, and you can use this to improve the benefit to harm ratio of breast cancer screening.
So to sum this up, multi-omics diagnostics.
It's not diagnostics, but it's something that you use to predict the risk. Okay, so prediction, and then you can improve the benefit to harm ratio. So you improve the number needed to screen, and you decrease the number of screens that you do to harm someone.
So I'll correct myself. So it would be like multi-omics prevention tools.
Yes, yes.
Magda, any other areas of particular interest or hope for Europe in life science?
I'm looking. I have this fortunate position that I can look here on the screen, and I would repeat AI. And all what it implies. I mean, the whole digital area, which is about to be enhanced. From also as a representative of the Polish public sector, I am aware of all this, national strategies that are on their way in this sector. So I believe it's gonna thrive.
Okay, can we go to the next screen so we can see some other answers while we have Monica, your view on which subsector do you think?
It's really hard, because I think it's really a combination of all, because AI makes nothing without good data. Diagnostics are getting better, so that the quality of data is getting better. If I would have to choose one, I think also working with Africa specifically, I think it's digital health in general, where I see really the future access to everyone. And this is, we have good tools, we have good AI to support also the poor doctors to combine whatever we have now as data. But I think if the most impact, I think, and in the future, I assume what will really be worked on is access. What I feel is with digital health, the most important part that will be developed. And our countries, we have also rural areas, so it is not something that is only for African countries or low and middle income countries, but it's also for our countries really of relevance.
Across, yeah. If we can move so we can see a lot of AI, I would say biomanufacturing, but maybe I'm in the minority here. Any other comments? If you like to raise your hand, which subsector you think, if you haven't put it in, does everybody? No, AI, we think, oh, yeah, there you go, sorry. Yes.
Thank you, guys. One general comment, because we are talking about speeding up everyone, almost every session. However, when you want to speed up, you have to know where you want to go and what you want to achieve. And talking about subsidies, we talk a lot about research and development. And from digital companies, we have another problem. Even we have TERL, I would say 7, 8 projects, what else can do the company with commercialization and implementation? And this comes problem of European companies that no one wants to invest. And investors are outside, in China, in America, and they are buying for cheap money good companies who could grow in Europe. And we are losing huge potential. The same with doctors, from Poland going to sometimes to German, to, I don't know, to Great Britain, but it's not about doctors itself, it's about our thinking about the potential of the companies and how to implement those very fantastic sometimes tools to healthcare when there is no good opportunity for such a thing. Why? Because hospitals are not really wanting such tools, digital tools, because they are afraid of losing jobs, sometimes some kind of procedures, money. And we are invited to invite a lot of experiments, to invite digital health, but how to implement? This is the question. Are we really in Europe ready for implementation of such modern technologies? Because I can't see it for the last 5 years. And if anything will not change in Europe, we will be the losers in Europe, frankly speaking. And I'm sure you all know that, and it's up to you to change it. And this is the challenge for the whole Europe, not only to have talents, because we have talents. We have talents in Poland, in Germany, in France, in almost every country, but we are suffering the same thing, how to commercialize properly all these fantastic and innovative tools that we are inventing. And this is the problem. There is no pathway for such products. How about reimbursement? Where are the pilots allowing, to implement all these tools? No one is interested. We have HTA, but how about even if you have your own analysis, how to make a short track for implementation digital tools in any country? So this is the challenge, and without answering for these questions, we will be in the same place in 5 years' time. Thank you.
Some excellent comments there. Any thought? Yes?
Yeah, very wise comment. I think what I would answer is you have to work on all levels. We talked a lot about research and innovation, pushing it from bottom up or different levels. But very important is to talk also on high-level policy and important sharing evidence. And I think this is what the partnerships, I feel, do. These European partnerships, it is, there was a question also at the moment, I think you mentioned it, the question of strategies, is it fitting with my national strategies? And I think what these partnerships try to do and foster is strategic development for Europe with all countries involved so that they feel part of it. It's making it easier to have it as a national strategy also accepted. So, and this is then creating or supports to create evidence to show it is the right direction and to explain if we as countries are not doing something, the industry or somewhere else will do. And we are losing, I don't want to say it's not the right word, but I don't find another word, lose the control about our data, we lose the control about our technology, and we are losing our innovators. So I think this is, the communication needs to be on all levels, and this is a communication I think we try to push on the policy level to create an environment that is more supporting the implementation, the acceptance of new technologies, but also to make our policy makers aware about the need that they support, they create incentives, and they make people stay. So.
There.
Andrzej Pawluczuk. This year I participated one event in München in January. They enrolled 1,500 medtech, biotech innovator companies, around 150 business angels, venture funds, and I think there was anyone or no one from EU or other administration regulations. So I think that it was a great opportunity to hear different voices, to hear the problems through innovators and from the capital, etc. And of course, I heard some, let's say, not good things about European Union, because the other systems can take our innovation, our teams, as the panels said before. And the other thing was that I heard, let's say, that in Japan they could establish, let's say, some good regulation even less than 1 month. So how we can compete with this regulation? And one key word, I think, is the timing. Timing. When we see law, direction, certifications, funding, teams, etc. So, of course, the previous panel said many words, many sentences, but one key word was, let's say, timing, because I'm also involved in 2 startups, and I saw that we lose a lot of money for waiting some regulations or waiting some certifications. I'm also the person who obtains some regulatory, and I see the broad, let's say, view. So I think that this panel, this discussion are wonderful, and we should, let's say, send a message to the other, to key person in the European Union, in all nations. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is all because we can go on for ages, I think, because it's obviously important topics. We're touching on important topics, but unfortunately we're running out of time. It's good that we're finishing on a positive note. We have taken all of this into considerations, and as I can see on the screen, there are very limited action plans right now, and as Magda said before, we have to take all of this input and all of these recommendations and actually putting it into action plans. So this is good food for thought for all of us. I can see that we have successful scaling or successful projects that have been scaled, and there are some excellent examples there, so thank you for sharing them. But just to sort of summarize what we all said, we have to support multidisciplinary teams. We have to, in order to have research into market, we have to support the industry when it comes to SMEs. We have to give incentives to big industry in order to stay in Europe and create new manufacturing and implement innovation. And we have to speak to the regulators and the policymakers in order to make the healthcare implementation and deployment a lot easier. So that's a lot of work that we all have to do. But we can discuss it further over coffee, I think, because everybody's ready for coffee. So I would like to please thank our panelists, and thank you all for contributing, and we'll see you and discuss more over coffee. Thanks.
Thank you.